the dev kits are out there.
What does that mean?
For the developers. So basically, when there's a new system about to launch, they send it out to all the big game producers, the game developers, to say, hey,
they literally send the console
they
itself?
send like a prototype version of it with the innards. And in the case of Nintendo, it's all right, and here are the limitations because we're using older stuff. So the games aren't going to look as nice. You won't be able to do as much.
I see.
So can you work within these parameters? That's been the case lately because the Switch is not a very powerful system. But the report said the supposed new system will work in a portable mode similar to the Switch. The system will supposedly support physical games through a cartridge slot and digital games. I mean, nothing too exciting. It's just what you kind of assumed. The Switch has been a massive hit.
Yeah.
They're going to do something similar to it. But I think I know what they're going to do. Because it's too easy for Nintendo to just say, oh, okay, let's make a more powerful Switch and call it Switch 2. That's not how Nintendo does things. They want to go 180 degrees in the other direction. Do something completely... Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Even when they do like a sequel console, they got to make it as complicated as possible. Couldn't just say, hey, look, we did a more powerful Wii. No, it's the Wii U.
Yeah.
The gamepad is the screen, and you move,
Yeah.
And everybody gets confused and nobody buys the system.
That's right.
So what is Nintendo going to do this time?
Yeah, how are they not going to do that again?
Well, here's the thing. I think they are going to do that again, but they're going to do it in a smarter way, but also still a complicated way that you're going to have to sit there and explain to people.
Well, I'm looking forward to that if that's true because I actually loved the Wii U.
I agree. For the Nintendo people like us, it's going to be fun. This is what I think they're going to do. I suggest the name the Super Switch. I don't know if that's really going to be the name, but
the Super Switch.
Give me the credit if I'm right.
Okay.
The Super Switch, and here's why they're going to call it the Super Switch. It'll play Switch games still, so it'll be backwards compatible, but it makes them super with improved performance. And then Nintendo will provide updates for all their first-party games to maybe increase the frame rates or the resolution or make the load times faster. Mm-hmm. So
can they do that with the same cartridges? Or
yeah, because this is the thing. The cartridge just has like the original files on it. And then like every time you put the game in, if you haven't played it in 2 weeks, it updates.
Okay.
So they're going to they'll update all like the Mario and the Zelda and the Metroid. They'll update all those games to have increased performance. So it's like, yeah, you can still play it on the Switch like you always have, but if you put it into the Super Switch, it'll have better performance. It'll be super. And they might even say, hey, look, and there's even some new content that we're putting on that wouldn't be possible on the original Switch.
I see.
And then I also think that they are going to make, this is what I think is going to be complicated. The Super Switch games are going to work on the original Switch. They're going to make the new games work on the old system, but they will be lacking the super content. So there might be new levels or additional characters or things that just wouldn't be possible on the original Switch.
I see.
So you'll be able to play your original Switch games super, and you'll also be able to play the super games on the original Switch, but with less content.
I see.
That's how I think they're going to make it as complicated as possible, the Super Switch.
Interesting.
All right, that's my prediction. We'll see how I do next year.
Is it coming out next year?
That's the plan. They're hoping to launch in the second half of next year, but the development kits are already with the developers because they're basically wanting to make sure that they can spend enough time manufacturing it so that there's not shortages the way that there was for years and years with the new Xbox and PlayStations, where just now in the last few months, you can finally get Xboxes and PlayStations pretty easily.
Well, with the Super Switch, how is that even considered a new console if it's not just an updated version of the Switch if it can play all the same games?
Because there will be actual Super Switch games with exclusive Super Switch content, and
it's technically a different game,
right? And I bet too that they'll also have a few games, like maybe the next Metroid game or something. They'll say, "Look, it's so there'll be a little badge they put on the game to say exclusively for Super Switch." They'll have like a logo that says exclusively for Super Switch or compatible with Switch or Super Switch, but enhanced with Super Switch. It's gonna
be messed up. How are we gonna know?
It's confusing even to explain it.
I'm
trying to explain it.
Exclusive, enhanced, or
that enhanced or exclusive. Those will be the E's, and maybe they'll have a third E. Rated E for everybody.
Everyone.
Okay, that's my prediction. We'll see what they do. What do you think, Jordan? Now, as somebody who's a little bit more of a normie when it comes to this stuff, If I just explain that to you and that is what actually happens, how would you feel? Would you want a Super Switch, or would you
No.
just stick with your Switch?
I would just stick with the Switch.
That's exactly right.
I would just stick with the Switch because I mean I don't play enough to care about if I get a new level on
Right.
like Mario Party. Or
I don't get to
whatever.
the
It's
end.
like, I never finish these games.
Why do I need 2 hours of additional content? I only play the game for 30 minutes.
But then when you got the Wii U and we played that, I wouldn't have bought that. But the Wii U had the amazing hide and seek game and
Yes, Nintendo
in
Land.
yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Hide and seek. What was the other one? The Candyland game. The candy game.
Yeah.
Where you get the candies from the tree and you're in the Animal Crossing land.
95% of our time with Wii U was just those 3 mini games of
Completely
on
worth
Nintendo
it.
Land. Yeah.
You know what? I met some of my closest friends because of those games.
Yep.
When I think about it, that is what gave us a connection. Now but we still talk about those games, and that's
so classic.
because of that.
So classic. It's so sad that Wii U didn't do well.
I know.
I really think that they took all the lessons they learned from Wii U and then the DS and the 3DS and the 2DS. And I think that's part of why I think this too about the Super Switch, because the DS and 3DS and 2DS, they all played the same games. But the 3DS cartridges just weren't in 3D if you played it on a 2DS.
Oh,
So they
okay.
were kind of
Okay,
like
well
compatible around. I just think Nintendo is taking all their different things they've done, they're going to coalesce it into the Super Switch. The Super Switch.
Wow.
Okay?
What if they got some kind of augmented reality thing on there? See, this is the actual prophecy. What if they actually have an augmented reality and it's called the 4D Switch? And you can see it in 4D. You can play 3D, or you can project it on and do.
Dude, that's
do
the
fourth
kind of
dimension.
stuff. That's the kind of stuff they'll call it the virtual Switch.
The
It'll be
virtual
like the
Switch.
Virtual Boy. You remember the Virtual Boy?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
No, I do, but I don't at the same time. It's amazing how that can happen.